Hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about Wireit. I don't know if I say it correctly or not, the pronunciation. Wireit, whatever is that. Actually, it's been a few minutes that I'm really reading this package name, and I think it's not Wireit, it's Wireit. Basically, wire it. So if in the video you just hear a silly name, try to ignore it. I cannot stop laughing now, but it's also not gonna record the video again. Let's just laugh together. So the name of the package is Wire It. Let's just enjoy the video and learn something from the video, and also laugh at the same time. Why not? So there is a repository here in GitHub called Wireit, which is belong to Google, and you're actually going to change the way you are writing scripts in Node application. So let's have a look. What do I mean by that? For example, if you go to a package.json, I have a very simple project. That simple project is a Express app with TypeScript, which you can see we have a few scripts. So we are building, we are cleaning, and we are starting the server. So very, very simple to get the idea and just go through the example. And then we have some dependencies. We have Express, Pino, and Pino HTTP for just logging, and some dev dependencies. Nothing very fancy. All it does, just run Express application and really just show some output. So if you look at this one, so we have two endpoints /ping, which is really going to give you pong, not two. Let's just say pong at this stage. And then you have user, which is going to create a user behind the scene and running the server. Nothing very specific. And if I go to the helper, and this is exactly where we are calling create user. So when we're going to create user, it comes here and run this function. Again, inside this one, we're not really doing anything specific. The whole aim of this video is to go through the way we were calling scripts in package.json. So I'll close this one. And as you can see, if you're going to call, for example, build, that's how it's done, clean, the same thing, and everything else. And if I just want to do, for example, a command like clean all, I just need to do, for example, I'm going to clean dist, and I'm going to clean a node module. Another way to do it is just basically do this one. So npm run clean, and you're going to just go into the, let me clean this bit, there we go, and then you can say remref node module. So you see what I mean by this. Basically, you have some script, you need to run them, and the package which I'm going to introduce today is going to change the way you were running this script, and it will be much better, easy to organize, easy to understand, and a lot more benefits, more benefits here. So basically, you can see it's going to, out of the badge, let me just zoom in a bit so you can see exactly everything. Okay, so basically it's going to give you the same functionality as npm run. It works with pnpm and yarn, so there is no problem. If you're using other package management, go for it. And then you can run them in parallel, you can run them in watch mode, you can run them with dependencies. For example, here, as you can see, clean all command depends on clean, then is going to do something else. With the start, it needs to first build, then run the command. So start really depends on build command, and then do the rest. And also, it's going to take care of caching. So if you have if you've run a command or a script a few seconds ago, nothing has changed since then. If you run it again, it's going to really read it from the cache, so there shouldn't be any issue. And so you can see this one. It's going to work with, as I said, with monorepo, with npm workspaces, pnpm, yarn, everything else. And the way to use it is quite simple. Let's go through the installation, and as you can see, all we have to do is to just install Wireit Wireit, whatever they call it, as a dev dependency. So let's just fire up the terminal and then install it as dev dependency. So I'm going to install. Okay, now this is here. I'm gonna just minimize these two because we don't need them at the moment. We only need to work with scripts, and we need to work with the new things which I'm gonna add here. So we're gonna create Wireit, and then that's an object. So what we have to do, let's start with, for example, build. So I'm just gonna go into give it a name, build, and from here that's another object. Okay, cool. And from here, I just need to say what do I want to run. So I want to run a command. So I'm going to just, again, command. And in my command, basically, I want to run TSC. So let's just put TSC here. All I have to do here, I need to change it to Wireit. And now if I just go and run NPM run build, okay, this time it's going to call Wireit to begin with, and then inside the Wireit it's going to pick the build command and successfully execute it successfully. So you have more interactive output to compare with what happens with normal running, for example, this kind of commands, because we're using red. So you have these emojis and everything else. So let me clear the terminal and move on. So one more thing that I want to do is to, for example, work on the clean command. So in a clean, we're just doing a bunch of things. Let me just show you what do I mean. Okay, so basically by looking at the clean command, all I have to do, I'm just really cleaning this directory. But moving on, now clean all, as you can see, it needs to run clean command. So that's why I add a dependency here, which is clean, means first run the clean, then move on and clean the rest of the whatever we have. So we're just cleaning, for example, node modules and cleaning .yarn if you're going to use yarn, or Wireit directory. So Wireit is where all the caches and everything is going to be there. So do we need to clean it all or not? Really depends on how we're just going to orchestrate our commands, but I'm going to get rid of yarn for now and just clean everything. So let's look at this time what's going to happen. I'm going to say run npm. Before we're doing that, we need to make sure we just change all our commands, all our scripts to Wireit. So I'm going to just paste it here, and also the same thing there. So build, clean, clean all of them are using the new Wireit. So I'll say npm run clean. It's going to clean only one thing. And if I just do npm clean all, let's see what do we get. There we go. So first it run the clean, then it's going to run the clean all, because there was a dependency. So it's much easier to really work with dependencies. Imagine if you need to do 5 things. This is much cleaner if you want to just do, for example, I don't know, something else. So because it's array, it's much cleaner, easier to read, easier to maintain. So let me just do one more time, npm install. I'll move on and explain a few more things. But before going there, we have VS Code extensions. So in VS Code extensions, we can go and get Google Wireit, which is going to give you the auto completion and all of these things. Very simple. Look for the Wireit and you're gonna get it, so you can install it and then you can use it. With a clean and clean all, we don't really want to do anything more. Let's just go to the build. That would be very nice if you could use, for example, we could run it in a watch mode. So all we have to do, we just need to tell Wireit watch for specific files or output, then just every time run it or don't run this command. So use the cache or don't use the cache. So okay, the next step is basically to run look for some files in the build command. Are we here? Yes. So on build command, I'm going to just look, I'm going to add another property called files, and inside files we really want to say run this command if something has changed in this array. So what do we want to say? We're going to say src and then */*.ts. So we're going to say if any of these TypeScript file changed in src, so I forgot to put C here, let me put it back, okay, and then you can just literally, if nothing has changed, you don't need to run this command every time, so start using the cache. And the next thing I want to just add here is tsconfig. So if you look, if I update the tsconfig, I still want to run this command again. So I'm going to say tsconfig.js. Oh, actually JSON. Okay. So basically we are saying these are the input file. And for the output, I want to say, I also want to cater for the output. So let me just put the output file. Again, this is an array, and all I care is actually it's this directory and then ***. Everything in this directory, you can just take care of it. And if you look for the input and output files, basically there are properties in the script that which we can use them for different purposes. So if you want to have like caching, we need to present both of them. If you want to run them in a watch mode, which we will get there in a few seconds, we only need the files, and you can just read it. Actually, you can see what do I mean by all of them. So if you need clean mode, again, we're going to do that one. And the next thing we want to really add here is the clean. So what do I mean by clean? Basically is this one. So if you come to the clean, it can automatically delete output files and really start the whole thing every time. So basically we don't really want to cache, we always want to clean everything. By default, the value of the clean, which if I want to put it here, it's clean, the value is true. So that's the default things. But then if you have files and output, we could use it for caching. So this value could change. So I'll leave it true for time being. You know what do I mean in a few seconds. But then this is the whole idea. So if you want to run it all the time, if you want to run this build command all the time, no matter what, you can just define it as clean, as true, and false means don't clean the project, and if file deleted is another option, which you can only use it if there was file deleted since the last run. Let's moving on. The next thing I want to do now is to run again the build command. So npm run build. We run everything successfully. Now if I run it one more time, it's already fresh. So the first time run the tsc command, the second time didn't run it because it was fresh, nothing has changed. I'll run it one more time, already fresh, so it doesn't really need to do anything. It's much faster if you run them in that sense. And if I do npm run build, so if you are using npm scripts, the way to pass argument is just to put -- and something. It will work out of the batch here as well. So if I put verbose to just see what do I mean, okay, so it will just show more output here, basically nothing fancy, but you can see we have run the command and it took this much time. We have one more command that we need to rewrite it with start. Before doing any of those things, let's just test one more thing. Let's test the watch mode. So I'm going to say npm run build -- watch. If you remember, I was just talking about here. So if you want to run something in a watch mode, we need to have files. Files are basically the input. It means look for these things. If anything changed, rerun it. So we're going to run it in a watch mode and let's see what is going to happen. So all the files in src and then with the ts extension. So let's just run this one. Again, you will get interactive output. It's already fresh, watching for file to change. Okay, let me go here. I'm going to say created, again, exclamation mark. I'll save it. It's rerun the whole things. The same thing for here as well. So if or maybe here I can put exclamation mark. Again, it's going to run the whole things one more time. Okay, cool. This is good. This is just good because we don't need to be worried about the watch mode with in many cases. So I'm going to stop it, and the next thing I'm going to work on is on the package.json, and let's just work on the start command. So start command is pretty much simple as build command, but there is a bit of different here. So with the start command, so we have build, I'm going to just paste it here. Okay, so the difference between start and build is start command basically has service true, means this is going to be an ongoing process. So we don't really expect to finish very early. When you build something or clean something, it might take a few seconds or milliseconds to finish everything. But here it's a little bit different. So when we are saying service means until we want to finish it. And then you can say, again, it has a dependency on a build. So you will run the build first. And then you also look for some files. I think we don't need this bit, so I'm going to close, I'm going to remove it. Again, it's looking for, because we can run it in a watch mode, it's still going to look for these files. So let's see, what do I mean by that? Well, I literally forgot to change this one to Wireit as well. So basically that's why it was not working. So I need just to rename everything. Just need to, for a start, I need to call this one. So let me just quickly go there. And the next thing I want to do is to just watch the start command. So now we get the idea. So we're running the build, successfully starting the server, watching for changes, and look what happened. So we're going to call ping. It's called ping2. And if I go and change the file, for example, here to exclamation mark, I'm going to save it. Again, it picked the changes and service is stopped, service is started. And now if I just call that one, we're going to get punk. So everything's good and everything works as expected. And if I want to show up one more time, so what you have to do is basically all your script going to be Wireit, and then inside Wireit object, you're going to specify your command, which is build, for example. What we're going to run is tsc, is watching for this file. This is the output. Do we need to clean all the time? Yes or not. If it's a service, means running on a long process, yes, then you need to just pass it as service true. If you want to put dependencies, that's how you're going to do it, and many more things that you can just expect here. So we've talked about all of these things, and local caching is available through the Wireit directory, but if you're going to use it with the GitHub Actions, it's also available here too. And moving on, I will just continue. So we have cleaning output, which we talk about. We talk about watch mode. We talk about services. We talk about restart, which was restarting actually, but not with a cascade. If you want to just have a look, just have a look. It's nothing very difficult to just check it yourself. And if I scroll more down, you can have some environment variables, which I'll talk about all of them in a few seconds. You can check for package locks, means at the moment we're using NPM, and NPM is going to give us package-lock.json. So it means no dependency has been added, so we don't need to really do something about it. You need to be very careful if you're going to use these package locks. And moving on again, so you can use it with ESLint, you can use it with a lot of things out of the batch. It's very simple and just to configure all of these things. Much easier than and much cleaner than what we had in the past, for example, in our script. I know in the real life scenarios, these scripts are going to be sometimes very big, complicated, and not really nice and tidy. So using Wireit will give you that options to really write a cleaner code and more understandable code. And moving on again, so in the reference, these are a list of things we can use. We have some environment variables. So with environment variables, we can define a few things. The first one is the failure. So if anything's happened, what do we want to do? So we can just kill it or continue, or no new, which is allow running script to finish but don't start the new ones. Wireit, as I said at the beginning, it also support parallel running scripts. By default the numbers are 2. You can increase it and it will help you with like a very long processes, but if you want to do it, just be careful because it's going to strive all your resources, and also you can go infinite or you can just bring it to 1 if you really want to check. And also with the cache, as we talk about, so we have with the GitHub cache, we have no cache, and we have local cache, which is the default one at the moment. And so if you define a CI environment variable, then it will have an impact on cache. And we talk about global patterns, which we are actually using here, so nothing very different, and everything else should be quite easy to understand, easy to follow if you go to basically github.com/google/Wireit. So I hope you can use it in some of your project to make your package.json easier to read, easier to understand, and it will be cleaner in the long run. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed these kind of videos, please let me know in the comment section, and I will just make more videos about these kind of useful packages. Once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.